Ultimate independence exercise. You can split your right hand from your right foot and have them both operating independently of each other more easily than you think, thanks to some simple patterns you can practice that will also make 16th grooves a lot easier. You can do this. We've all been there, where you're first learning grooves on the drum set, and most of them are 8th note based, and you've got 8th note timekeeping with your right hand, maybe on the ride, and maybe you're playing like an 8th note kick pattern, kind of like. Those are usually the first kind of grooves that you learn on the drums. And then when it comes time though to switch over to maybe some 16ths on the kick and on the snare, where things get a little more syncopated, suddenly things get a little trickier because your right hand wants to follow your right foot, or your right foot wants to follow your right hand. And so making those play offsetting each other instead of together can be really tough. A lot of times that transition from playing simple 8th note grooves into more syncopated 16th note grooves is a really wide canyon to have to cross over in your learning. And so if you're stuck there, or maybe you've gotten somewhat beyond that and you're just wanting to free up your right hand and your right foot more, I'm going to share with you a whole bunch of exercises today that are going to help a bunch with that, so that you can improvise whatever you want to on your right foot while playing 8th note or even 16th or quarter note timekeeping with your right hand. So here we go. By the way, there's a PDF attachment to this lesson that has all of the exercises I'm going to show you laid out, and so you can go ahead and go download that right now if you want to. If you want to have it in front of you on another device, or you want to go print it out, either way, have that physically in your practice space as you're practicing, so you can work on this stuff and go step by step through these exercises. And so you can go download that now, pause the video, or if you want to wait and download it after, that's cool, but I believe that's also going to help you out a bunch, so be sure to grab that before you go today. All right, first thing we're going to do, we're going to start pretty simple. And so if you are a beginner and you're just getting going with these 8th note grooves, this is where to start, but we're going to get pretty advanced very quickly. And so I think I'm going to be able to meet you where you are, wherever you're at in this, if you're trying to split up your right hand from your right foot. First thing is we're going to play 8th notes on the ride, and we're going to play 16ths on the kick. I also ran through that with quarter notes with my right hand, which honestly is more difficult, and that's a great way to practice this too. So 8th notes with your right hand, 16ths on the kick, and then also go to quarter notes on your right hand. But now let's flip it over the other way. We did it that way first because I think that's the most difficult way. But now we're going to switch it, and so we're going to do 8th notes on the kick and 16ths on the ride with your right hand. And so on. We can do that same thing where we switch to quarter notes on the kick from the 8th notes. And so we've now practiced those differences and subdivisions between what our right hand's doing and what our right foot's doing. So if you can do those, you've got some basic coordination going on, but most likely things tend to get a little weird if you're having to really think about what your kick's doing while keeping your right hand steady. And so this next exercise is going to target that specifically. Now we're going to do something that marching bands do all the time. It's a great warm-up kind of routine where they'll take 3 16th notes and they'll gradually shift where they are on the beat. So I'm just going to play through all of them here. We're going pretty slow. I've got my metronome set at 55 beats a minute, and you can go even slower than that. You could go down to 45, 40, however slow you got to go, because the key here is precision and getting things clean, because this is all no good if you're rushing the tempo. You got to go slow, keep it really clean. So here we go. Sometimes hearing that exercise but not seeing it written out can be kind of confusing, so hopefully the PDF will clear all that up for you. Just remember that each time we're shifting those 3/16 over another 16th, and so we start on the beats, then we start on the E's, then the ands, and the uhs, and we're back on the beats. And as far as playing through all of them, how you transition from one to the other doesn't matter that much, because the point here isn't to just play them exactly the way I played them, where I did 2 measures of each. Focus on one at a time. Do the first one for a while, then do the second one for a while, maybe for like 8 bars, 16 bars. Don't worry about transitioning from one to the other, because that can be kind of tricky and weird shifting your brain around. Just take them one at a time and make sure you can play those all cleanly, and also practice them with your right hand playing quarter notes. And of course, following what we did previously, you could also flip this around, and you could play those 16ths we did on our kick with the right hand while keeping quarter note or eighth note time with your right foot. I'm not going to demonstrate all that because it'll make this video go too long, but I have included notation for that in the PDF. So it's all laid out there for you. Grab the PDF and take that to your practice room. And so now at this point, if you can do all of that, if you've been following along with me and you can do that, well, you're in pretty good shape as far as coordination goes. And maybe your next step is working on being able to play linear patterns between your right hand and your right foot. Being able to play something kind of like playing that kind of like paradiddle-esque stuff. And so straight up practice paradiddles between your right hand and your foot. Start with singles and then do doubles and then do paradiddles. And when practicing this, I like to put my right hand on the floor tom or on the snare, just because I find that that makes it a little easier to get things balanced out and even, versus if you have the right hand on the cymbal, it kind of feels weird. It doesn't really matter how you practice it. You can go either way. You could also practice these with your left hand. And so you could do for doubles instead of your right hand, or you could do both hands. Really, the combinations here are endless. And so have fun with it and really try to come up with additional ways to practice it. Move your hands around the kit and practice it with different surfaces also. I'll just play through a few of these. The rudiments I would recommend doing first are singles and then doubles and then paradiddles. Don't go beyond that until you're really solid, really comfortable just with those. So by all means, as you get that comfortable slow, practice it a little faster and practice it with left foot timekeeping. That's a great way to really challenge your left foot. And as for the paradiddles between limbs, of course, there are so many combinations you can do here. You can do right hand and right foot, because that's what we're specifically targeting today, splitting those apart. You can also do right foot and left hand, which will help with being able to play more syncopated grooves. You could do feet. That'll help coordinate your left foot. You could do left foot and right hand, left foot and left hand. The combinations are endless, and when you take the initiative to really work this in as many ways as you can think of, you can really grow in your coordination and your precision when playing these linear patterns, and it'll really free up a lot of things, not just your right hand and your right foot. So grab the PDF, follow the steps. All of this is not as difficult as you think it is, and there are so many benefits to practicing this. There are so many reasons to really get good at this and really be motivated to split your right hand from your right foot and to work these exercises. First off, you'll be able to just randomly throw in accents on the kick in the midst of a groove. Like if you're playing you'll be able to throw in little things like that, almost like a fill that you're creating with the kick drum, much more easily. You'll be able to hit like a rhythm that the vocalist is singing or something the guitar player is playing without your right hand following. You'll be able to play busier kick snare patterns without busy timekeeping. That's a powerful thing too, because sometimes you want to be able to play quickly between the kick and the snare, but not necessarily play quickly with the right hand. And of course, you'll be able to improvise kick patterns more easily, and there's so many ways you can do that. But the other interesting thing is you'll also have steadier right hand timekeeping, because since you've gotten your foot so freed up, you're independently thinking about that, and you're not having to think so much about your right hand. your right hand can be a little bit more on autopilot and be steadier and play better feeling time without you specifically having to put as much effort into it. And so you'll be able to play more effortless timekeeping while playing cool stuff, improvising with kick and snare. And so really the big plus, anytime you work on your coordination, you're improving your ability to think about multiple things at once, which is what we drummers have to do so much of. If we're playing a gig, we've got to think about playing with good timing, mixing ourselves. We've got to think about what we're playing next, what's coming next in the song, listening to the vocalist, paying attention to whoever's calling the shots and who's cueing the band. There's so many things to think about, and it can easily become overwhelming. But if you've got your coordination together, you're not having to worry so much about your playing, and you're able to really think about a lot of things and make more music on the gig. And that's crucial, and that's something that's very much worth practicing toward. Go practice this. Be patient with yourself. Focus on precision over speed. Grab the PDF so you can have all this laid out in front of you, and you'll have no problem knowing exactly what to work on every day when you sit down to practice, and your coordination will improve. I'm eager to hear about it. Just know that if you have the patience, you can do this. There's nothing stopping you. Have the patience, work on this little by little, nice and slow, and you will make progress. So if you've enjoyed this video and it's helped you out, be sure to hit the subscribe button before you go. And also check out another free PDF guide I have in the description that's basically a solution, a guide to solving all of your biggest hi-hat frustrations. Your 3 biggest hi-hat frustrations solved, 9 strategies for overcoming hi-hat frustration and coordinating the left foot. And so you can learn hi-hat 16ths, one-handed 16ths, open notes, barks, those kinds of things, left foot coordination. It's all in that guide, and so if you like having stuff visually laid out for your practice sessions, go grab that too. You can grab both of the PDF guides. They're yours, totally free. They're gonna help you out a bunch. Whatever you do, keep up the practicing. Know that you can do this. Stay non-glamorous. I'll see you on the next video.